Greetings. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me as I explain my first Raspberry Pi projects which I've developed, called the USBODE. What does this project do? It provides a way to emulate a CD-ROM drive to a computer with a loaded ISO. I created this project as my answer for the ITX Llama, see www.retrodreams.ca, to be able to install software quick and easily. It's a low-cost solution using off-the-shelf hardware. No soldering is required. My setup includes a Raspberry Pi Zero 2W, the Waveshare OLED 1.3-inch display HAT, a 32 gig SD card, and a USB cable. This low-cost solution should run about $30 to $40 US in total. However, it can run without the display HAT. Currently, the project only supports the Waveshare in the SPI configuration, but I'm looking into other solutions as well since my end goal is to support I2C for this project. I have tested this on the ITX Llama, my MacBook Pro, and some Windows PCs, and it seems to be working quite well. Although with the Mac, I do need to eject the disk from the OS before I can swap the ISOs in some configurations. I think when I have my a little docking station connected to my MacBook, it doesn't. That's not required, but in most other situations, it is required. Let me spend a few more minutes with you going through the setup tutorial. All the links will be listed in the description below for future reference. First, let's go ahead and download the Raspberry Pi Imager. Pulled up the Raspberry Pi Imager software. And because I'm running Windows, specifically this laptop's running Windows 11, but any recent version of Windows should work. Okay, so let's just download the Imager latest software. Okay, and I've already done that. Should be a pretty quick download. Okay, so once it's downloaded, let's go into our downloads folder, right there, and we'll see here Imager 1.8.5. Okay, so just double click on that. Okay, accept any UAC prompts. All right, so welcome to the Raspberry Pi Imager setup. Okay, let's hit the install button. Okay, and then it'll go ahead and it will install it like so. All right, I'll hold off on running the Raspberry Pi Imager right now because we're going to download some additional files from the USBODE section. Okay, so next, let's open up the USBODE solution in my GitHub here, and we can go ahead and just download the latest binary. So we'll go under releases here. So at the time of this video, we're seeing version 1.7 of USBODE has been released. So go ahead and download the latest image file. So you see here this img.exe file. So let's go ahead and download that. Okay, here we're downloading it. And let's also download the USBODE 1.7a release file. Okay, and then those will just save in our download section. So again, I've already downloaded this, so let me just cancel that out. Okay, so once the downloads have completed, we're going to go ahead and we're going to insert our our micro SD card into a micro SD slot on the computer that you're using. Be aware that you will lose everything on the micro SD card. So let's just go ahead and just do that, knowing that we're going to have to clear everything out. Okay, so I've just plugged in my micro SD card, and because this was a previous version of USBODE on this micro SD card, we'll see actually there's the bootfs and there's the img store. You can just ignore that. Ignore whatever's on your micro SD card initially, because the Raspberry Pi Imager is going to be overwriting everything entirely. All right, okay, so with the Raspberry Pi Imager downloaded, let's go ahead and launch it. So I'm just going to hit the start button. I'm going to click on Raspberry Pi Imager. Okay, accept any UAC pop-ups. All right, so here it is. Let's go ahead. So we're going to choose Raspberry Pi 02W. For the operating system, go ahead and click on Use Custom. We're going to go and choose the USB ODE Custom Image 1.7.exe. All right, and then hold the Control, Shift, and press X button. This is going to bring up the OS customization menu. So you can see here I've already gone ahead and I've already entered my the name of the host name that I want to use since I'm demoing this. It's going to be called the USB ODE demo. I put my password name, my username and password that I want to be able to use if I ever SSH into the device. Also put my network. You have to make sure you specify a 2.4 gigahertz network in this configuration here because the Raspberry Pi 02W only supports the networks operating on 2.4 gigahertz. I've also set the locale, wireless LAN country, enabled SSH. If you have an SSH key, you can put the public key into there as well. But since this is a basic tutorial, I figure we're just going to stick with password authentication. And under options here, I've unchecked the eject media when finished, but play sound when finished and enable telemetry. Okay, so hit the save button, insert the SD card, and then we'll see here. There it is. There, I'm going to be formatting this 32 gig SD card, and then click next. It asks, will you like to apply the OS customization settings? You have another chance to edit them here, but we just went through them, so I'm just going to say yes, and confirming that everything on the SD card is going to be erased. Or you want to continue? Yes, and go ahead and allow the program to write the image to the SD card. Okay, we can see here it says writing, so we're just going to fast forward to the end. Okay, so we can see here it's done writing to the disk, but now it's going to verify the disk. So let's fast forward this, and all right, and now it says it's been done. So now you can remove the SD card, but we actually can't just yet, so let's just hit the continue button. And let's go back into our downloads folder and go ahead and extract the files from the zip file we downloaded earlier. So let's right click on it and extract all. Okay, these are the actual program itself. The image just has kind of like the required dependencies and everything in it. So let's go ahead and just copy these files, and we're going to find our bootfs image. Go in here, and let's just paste everything. It's going to let us know that there's an existing file, config.txt. If there's any other files as well, you can just go ahead and replace all of them. So let's just hit replace the file and the destination. Okay. And that's it. So next, we're going to just eject. Now we can eject the microSD card from the computer. And we're going to resume by plugging in the microSD card into the USB ODE, which I'll demonstrate next. Okay, so here we can see the Raspberry Pi 02W. And it's got nothing on it here. I have the H model, so the headers were done for me, so I didn't have to do any soldering in order to get this working. Okay, and this is the SD card that I used for that we just used in the last section. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug it in to the SD card slot reader. And optionally, if you do have the Waveshare 1.3-inch OLED, you can go ahead and you could attach this right now as well. So let me go ahead and do that, just making sure we line up the GPIO. Okay, here we go. So we're all plugged in now, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in my USB cable into my computer. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and plug in the USB micro part into this port over here, the second port. This one's for power only, but we don't need that one. We're just going to use this one here. This is for power and data. So let's go ahead and plug this thing in. Okay, there we go. And then we'll see that there should be some LEDs that start lighting up on the Pi. Okay, so because this takes a few minutes, maybe like, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes or so, I'm just going to have this watching here and demonstrating. So initially what it's doing right now is it's going to boot up in a special environment where it's going to partition the SD card so that it has an exFAT partition, and it's also going to expand the system partition to 8 gigabytes. There's been a bunch of packages that I've been adding to the image, so I wanted to make sure that we don't run out of space for any future updates. Oh, actually, this is upside down. Let me just flip this around over here. Okay, and then it's going to reboot itself after the partitioning, and then it will go ahead and do the Raspberry Pi imaging pieces, like the things that we just set up during the Raspberry Pi imager. And then it'll complete that. That's about, like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. And then it's going to restart itself, and then also going to install the USB ODE software itself from the zip file that we extracted earlier. And also, and then finally, once it's all ready, it'll actually start itself up into USB mode. So we'll have to add some images first, like ISO images, in order for us to actually mount a CD drive. So it's just finishing up right now. There we go. So it's just kicked in. All right, so here we can see on the display, it says USB ODE v1.7. IP is the IP address that it actually has. And the ISO image, or the image that it's serving right now, that actually means that it's serving the exFAT partition, and mode 2 means it's an exFAT mode. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like on the computer right now, and then start adding a couple of ISO files. Okay, so with the USB ODE on right now, and in the exFAT mode, we can see that there is a new drive that's connected to the computer called IMG Store. For my computer, it's drive F. Let's go ahead and I've gathered a few ISO files here. So let's go ahead and just copy them as you would copy anything to an exFAT drive. So just do a copy there. Let's go ahead and paste over here. Just keep in mind that it's running at USB 2.0 standards. So it's not the fastest thing to copy things over like this, but it works. And if you really want to, you can always just turn off the USB ODE and then connect it to your micro SD card on your SD card slot on your computer, and then copy ISOs over into the IMG Store folder as well. So we're going to take a couple minutes to copy. So let me go ahead and fast forward that until this portion's done. Okay, so here we see that the copy process is almost done. So let's just wait for this to be finished. And then we're going to go ahead and eject the disk from the computer, because, you're writing to USB, and, Windows doesn't like to have, random disconnects. Okay, so let's go ahead, right click and eject. Okay, so we'll see that the disk is ejected, and we have the information now saying that the disk is ejected from the system. Okay, so let's go ahead now and take a closer look at the USB ODE interface now that we have some ISO images loaded on it. Okay, so we have some ISO images loaded on this USB ODE now, so let's go ahead and start looking at some of the buttons here. Okay, so the key one is going to allow, it's the OK button, or the button that you will use in order to get into your list selection of ISOs. Key 2 is the cancel or advanced key, and key 3 is to switch the mode between exFAT mode and ISO mode. So because we don't have any ISOs loaded right now, let's go ahead and press the key 1. Okay, and it should say, so it says here, so select an ISO, an I colon whatever, the I colon is going to be what ISO is currently loaded, so you don't end up loading the same ISO from your list that you already have. So let's go ahead and scroll around. So here I have 3 ISOs. So there's the bonus CD for FreeDOS 1.4, the legacy boot CD, and the live CD. So you can use the up and down arrow keys to scroll through your list here, and then when you figure out the ISO you would like to use, so just press key 1 on it, or if you want to just cancel what we're doing, we can just press key 2. So there we go, and so I pressed key 2, so nothing's loaded. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to get this thing to focus again. All right, so let's try doing key 1. There we go. And press key. So we're going to load the bonus CD up first. Press key 1. Okay, my computer just detected the disk, and we can see here the ISO that is currently loaded is the name of the ISO. So let's go ahead and take a look at the computer now and see what it has to show us. And we can see here that I have a new CD-ROM drive in this computer that doesn't have a CD-ROM drive. And it says CD-ROM F FD14 bonus. So this is the actual, this is the ISO that is now being served as a CD-ROM drive onto this computer. Okay, what happens if we want to go ahead and switch the CDs? So we can go ahead and we can press key 1 on the device again. And let's go ahead, instead of the bonus CD, we're going to go and pick the legacy boot CD. And I'm going to press OK. All right, and we should see, after I F5, so now we can see that the disk is now the legacy disk. So it's changed ISOs pretty straightforward. And we can also do this from the computer. So if we open up a web browser, or I mean any other device that's connected to your Wi-Fi network. So if we go ahead here and go to the IP address that we see on the screen here, so 192.168.99.197, we have to make sure it's HTTP. So, and then we get this little interface here. It's fairly similar to what's on the actual screen itself. And here we see the legacy CD, so we can pick load another image. And this time we'll do the regular, actually let's do the bonus CD so we can see the files differences. So press on that, and boom, it's now loaded it up. This is a very basic web page. It's compatible with like anything, even like, you know, Windows 95. So as long as your Windows 95 has access to your network with your wireless stuff on it. Okay, and we can see here again that the bonus disk is reloaded. Sometimes the labels don't reload entirely. You kind of have to just refresh your operating system. I'm still working on getting a few things done with that, but I mean, for the most part, like all the, like the CD is changed as we can see now. Yeah, this is definitely the bonus disk. Okay. Okay, and then let's go ahead and change again to the regular live CD. Okay. And here we can see that the CD's it's changed. Windows isn't always the best for showing you what the name of the thing is. Oh, here it's just loaded up now. Yeah, FT14 Live CD. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Okay, when you're done with it, you probably want to shut it down. Either you can shut it down through the web interface. It says shut down the Pi here, or we can press the advanced menu on the device, and then it says shut down USB ODE, and then just press key 1, and then just give it a second, and it's shut off now. So yeah, so that's the project. I'm still working on getting CD audio support, but it's pretty stable, I think. And I welcome anybody's feedback and or help. And if you're a Linux kernel developer, please reach out to me. So maybe you can give me a hand getting the CD audio stuff up and running. Thanks for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.